Welcome, everyone, to the St. Nicholas podcast. This is a channel where we share information with our community and we discuss big ideas of what it means to be an IB school here in wonderful Brazil. I'm joined here by Dr. Andressa Borsari, MYP Coordinator here in the Pinheiros site, and joined as well by Elizabeth Castro, who's the MYP Coordinator in our Alphaville campus. It's my pleasure to join you here. My name is Andrew Vandermeulen. I'm the head of campus here in Pinheiros. We're here mostly today to talk about some exciting news from December 2024 when the Pinheiros site was authorized to be a IB MYP school. This was a massive achievement, and we're very proud of this accomplishment for us here on our campus. And we're going to speak some more today about the pride that we have, of course, in establishing this and the process by which this foundation was achieved, the importance of this milestone for our young people and our learners, and what it means for us as now a full IB Continuum school offering the PYP, the MYP, and the diploma program, bringing our young people through their school career from the young ages of early years all the way to graduation at 18 years of age. So, a massive accomplishment, Andressa, something that we can be so proud of. Tell us a little bit about some of the process that the school went through with your leadership to take this big step.
Yes. Implementing the MYP is actually a quite long process. We have to first implement and live it, then we get authorized. So it starts with us communicating officially with the IB, writing a form, telling them about our mission statement, our approach to learning and teaching, and how prepared we think we are to the MYP. Then we get an authorization for candidacy, and we become a candidate school. And during candidacy is when the real work starts. It's a massive teamwork, so all our teachers were trained. We apply the framework to what we do in school. So you have to live the MYP every day for a whole year. And then at the end of this year, the IB sends a visiting team to check that we're doing everything right. And then they talk to parents, they talk to leadership, they talk to learners, to staff. They look at our documentation and everything, and then they emit the authorization for us. We received it 1 week after the visit, which was pretty quick, last December. So we are very happy.
That's not common to be offered the final answer that quickly. So it's a big congratulations to you and the secondary team for making that possible. I remember the visit. It was a time of a lot of celebration because it's something else to watch an IB practitioner coming from the organization and having them walk through campus with their eyes open going, wow, going, oh, asking if they can borrow that idea. So it's really, really wonderful to have experienced that with you. Now, to bring the MYP into a school is one thing, to live it out and to make it a reality is another thing. Does that mean that if I go to any MYP school in the region or internationally that I'm going to be seeing the same thing in action? Or does the MYP look different from one place to another?
Yeah, so it's going to look different. I think the MYP is flexible enough to have schools all around the world adapt to their own needs, to their community, to their requirements, national requirements. It definitely provides us with structure, with assessment practices, but it doesn't prescribe any content, so it's up to the schools. So there's a lot of autonomy of schools, by the schools. For example, here in Pinheiros, we have a core curriculum, which is made of PSHE, which stands for Personal, Social, Health, and Economic Education. We also have the 4 Peaks program, which is our project-based learning, where kids have space and time to develop projects of their own interests and passions, which is connected by the personal project, which Elizabeth is going to talk in a minute. And of course, we also have all the MYP subjects, which Elizabeth is also going to talk about in a minute. So I think the experience that the kids are going to have can be very different from one school and another school. It depends on the context. It depends on the curriculum choices. So even though we have a framework and a structure given by the MYP, it can feel very different from school to school.
Good. Okay. Thank you. I think our listeners would be curious to hear that, but I imagine they're curious to understand a little bit about a program that has been running since 2022, how these pieces all fit together and the nature of the MYP a little bit more. Elizabeth, can you shed some light on the MYP framework that is living in Alphaville?
Okay. First of all, Andressa, congratulations on the authorization. I know how long that process is, and it really should celebrate it. We are, us at Alphaville, are also very happy with your authorization and the fact that we are now both campuses full IB Continuum School. Now, about the MYP, all of the IB programs are these conduits through which the IB philosophy is implemented. And because they're very different, they have to be age appropriate before everything else. The MYP framework is structured around the 8 subject groups, which are language and literature, language acquisition, individuals and societies, sciences, mathematics, the arts, physical and health education, and design. At the core, we have the personal project, services action, and interdisciplinary learning. This is all designed to help students learn conceptually. So it's more about how they transfer understanding from one subject to the other than just memorizing information. And at the very, very basis of this program and all the other IB programs is the learner profile attributes, which is a very important element of an IB education. So every decision that was made into structuring this framework goes into making sure that our students are inquirers, caring, compassionate, lifelong learners that are going to make a positive difference on the planet. The whole program structured is based on the approaches to teaching and the approaches to learning. So it's all about making sure that our students are good at communicating, thinking, organizing themselves, so they have the self-management skills, the research skills. So the goal is not only to prepare them to go through a rigorous program, but also to be prepared for the next program in line, which is the diploma program in our school's case, but being lifelong learners and just being equipped to learn anything that they want to learn for the rest of their lives.
Good. Elizabeth, thank you. It's good for us to picture what the MYP looks like and all of the pieces that come together to create the program, so that's helpful. Putting more pieces together, Andressa, we have the PYP and the diploma program, the DP, that sandwich the middle years program. And here in Pinheiros, it was that last piece that was in the planning to introduce so that the school would become a full IB Continuum school. What does that mean now for us here in Pinheiros to be able to say we are a continuum school? What does that offer our young people who are starting their learning journey, and as they're thinking about that ultimate final graduation?
Yes. So the MYP, as you said, acts as a bridge between the PYP, the primary years program, and the diploma, the DP program. In PYP, the kids are already used to inquire. They are developing their skills. They are putting in practice the IB learner profile, the attributes. So what happens is in the MYP, they're going to go deeper into subject knowledge. In PYP, their projects and their learning is transdisciplinary. In MYP, it's both disciplinary and interdisciplinary. And they develop further those skills so that by the time when they reach diploma, they are already able to deal with the demands of the diploma, which are high. Diploma is a difficult academic program. But then they are ready for it because they have developed through PYP and MYP. For us in Pinheiros, you said MYP was the last bit, right? In secondary school, we already had the diploma. So all our teachers were already familiar with the IB philosophy and the approaches to learning. and everything. So I think it helped us in the process because our staff was already very well prepared and into the IB philosophy.
Fantastic. And it's having watched the MYP evolve in the middle school and knowing that our practitioners, our educators, were already well versed in what it means to be an IB educator, you can see that the transition from one program to another was not entirely seamless, but the foundation was already strong, and now it's just a matter of being officially an MYP school. So congratulations again to all of us in Pinheiros for this great achievement. Let's zoom out just a little bit and look at the big picture, the IB philosophy, the values of St. Nicholas and our community. Elizabeth, how does this IB philosophy, the values of St. Nicholas, and the children that we're inviting onto our campus, how do all of these things connect? How do we serve the need of our learners so that they can come into campus with confidence, knowing that they're engaging with something that is meaningful and something that is going to be enduring?
Our values here at St. Nicholas are integrity, commitment, belonging, respect, and international mindedness. And that goes very much hand in hand with the IB philosophy. And I believe that is materialized in the way that both our campuses. So commitment is an integral part of our framework, I believe, in our curriculum in both campuses, because I believe that just the rigor and the nature of how our subjects are built and the interconnections that they foster and the opportunities for agency that are embedded into both our campuses and our programs, I believe just instill this necessity of commitment in all of our students' minds. And it's a natural consequence, really, of being engaged and making the most out of the MYP, both at Pinheiros and Alphaville. So integrity is really embedded in the way that our subjects structure their curriculum as well, because so much of a student's choice is put into everything that we do on a daily basis when they are given the opportunity to go after their own interests, to investigate topics of their own choice. And we bring together the expectation of academic integrity that comes with intellectual property and respecting other people's not only knowledge but also opinions, and then really being able to use that information to form their own perspectives and then learn. International mindedness is really at the heart of the MYP program. It's this concept-driven curriculum that allows for these transfers from one subject to another, but also the global contexts and how they provide these different lenses through which our students have the opportunity to understand what's going on and make sense of the world. So investigating one same topic in one subject at a local scale, but then the same thing at a global scale, and then understanding how different players come into part and enriching their points of view, and ultimately developing this ability to look at one same event from multiple points of view, and then to understand that other people with their points of view and their opinions may also be right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That really helps us imagine what it is like to be a part of a program like this, not just what's happening on campus, but how it connects with the future and how it connects with their community. So perfect. Thank you. Now, some of our listeners might know that at the end of each of the individual programs of the International Baccalaureate, the end of the PYP, the end of the MYP, the end of the diploma program, there is a culmination activity. In the PYP, it is the PYP exhibition. In the DP, it's the DP extended essay. And in the MYP, we have the MYP personal project, completed in year 5, grade 10. And it is really something that the learners look forward to as they're embarking on their journey in the MYP. They watch those 15 and 16-year-olds and their projects and the amazing things that they're capable of. But unless you've seen it, you might not fully appreciate it. So how do we paint the picture of what this personal project is. How can we help our families and our community understand this PP, as they might call it?
Before Elizabeth speaks about it, I was just going to add that diploma also has the TOK exhibition at the end. So the theory of knowledge presentation that they have is also a big part at the culmination of diploma.
Can I start then talking about the personal project?
Yeah.
Okay. So the personal project is above all a celebration because it marks the end of the MYP program. It's a long program and it's an opportunity for students to use all of the tools that they have developed throughout the 5 years of the program, and then just to use that opportunity to investigate a topic of their choice. So they create a learning goal that makes sense to them. They create a project that they intend to put together after they achieve that learning goal. And then there are steps that they need to follow to make sure that they use all of the different approaches to learning skills that they have acquired during the program to actually accomplish these goals individually. So it's a very big endeavor for a 16-year-old, and it's something that, regardless of the results, should be celebrated. But it's a beautiful moment just for us to see usually kids that you met when they were 11 and that they were just coming out of the PYP. They were very good communicators, very good inquirers, but not necessarily prepared to learn on their own individually about a big, extensive topic. And then meeting them 5 years down the line, just very proudly showing all the things that they learned and all the things that they accomplished. Most of the times their product is something physical that they get to showcase, and you see so much pride, so much ownership in their eyes. So I believe regardless of the level of success, because there is a criteria for success that they create themselves and they use to measure if they were successful or not. But regardless of all of that, it's beautiful to see how we have a young adult really be putting all of their knowledge and all of their skills into practice to do something that is important to them. And that kind of sends a message of who they are as a person, which I think is the most challenging thing that a 16-year-old has to figure out.
Yes. And it's actually the only mandatory assessment at the end of MYP, the personal project, right? Here we have smaller versions of personal projects in grades 6, 7, and 8 in our 4 Peaks program, which now we are aligning with the MYP. We use the assessment criteria from the MYP, and the kids are younger, so they go through a similar process with some peculiarities, but it's also to prepare them for that stage when they have to do this project.
And by the time they reach year 5 of the middle years program, by the time they're in grade 10, their ideas and their sense of self and their passions have become refined over the course of their learning journey. And it's then in grade 10 that they get this opportunity, scheduled time, somebody who's dedicated to them, a lead learner, an educator who's going to work them through the whole process of taking an idea, a passion, all the way through to the finish line over the course of many months, to research deeply into the topic, to work with some kind of outcome, some kind of product that the personal project is going to allow them to produce. Any examples stand out in your mind of maybe a time that you've been a supervisor of a personal project, or other cases where you're like, wow, I'd love to see that happen?
I've had different students using this opportunity to learn a new language. I've had students learn Spanish on their own, but also Brazilian Sign Language, Libras, and it was a very beautiful opportunity to talk about inclusion and to instill this sense of community. It's interesting for us to think also how the personal project is a preparation for the many important elements of the diploma program, right? If we think about the extended essay, for instance, it requires so much discipline on behalf of the students just to be able to pursue a topic of their interest, but on a continuous basis, to never lose sight of what they have to do and to always be on track of all the steps that they need to accomplish. And there's a lot of accountability involved in it as well, involving supervisors, getting everybody in a loop. And as much as this is a somewhat shorter process and the topics are usually not that academic, but the structure through it happens, having a supervisor, collaborating, it's all very, very similar, right? And it's an opportunity for them to use their self-management skills when it comes to designing a plan that they later put into practice, going back and revisiting that plan, because 100% of the times they have to do that, things don't go as they imagined they would go. And then having to reflect about the setbacks, change your initial idea, set course, come up with a plan B, sometimes C, sometimes D. All of that happens very often in the diploma program and also in a personal project.
And I bet I've seen many projects, both in personal projects and in a smaller scale in for peaks. Kids like to do projects that have to do with action, right? So it connects also very deeply with CAS in diploma, which is creativity, activity, and service. And it's really nice to see the kids seeing themselves as part of something bigger and having agency to act. So that's really nice.
And it really fosters this sense of belonging when it comes to making a difference in a community that sometimes may be your school community or even a bigger community.
You're already beginning to answer the next question that I have for us. And these questions actually come from the process of meeting new families who are curious to know about St. Nicholas School. They're curious to know about what it means to join an IB community. They want to know, there's a long list of things, the questions that we get, whether it's through the admissions process or it's during one of our open days. Typically, families want to understand the inquiry process that students undertake. They want to see the connection between school life and the wider community and this idea of international mindedness. Of course, they're thinking about our IB learner profile as well. What does it mean to be a critical thinker and a creative thinker? What do we mean when we talk about being caring? So with all these questions that come in and wanting to share some of the life experience that we have in our day-to-day, what tidbits, what insights, what tips would you give to families who are coming new to St. Nicholas to help them appreciate what it means to be a part of a part of our school?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say that at home, parents can encourage curiosity. That's what inquiry-based means, right? So encourage questions. Don't give them straight answers when the kids ask you questions. Don't try to answer, right? Ask them more questions. The IB Learn profile is a very nice list of attributes, but it's not only a list, it's a mindset, right? So it's something to be fostered at home, to be nurtured at home in everyday life as well. The other tip, I guess, is visit the school, right? Ask questions to the school. How does the school encourage inquiry? How does the school integrate global perspectives? How does the school help learners develop their independence, their agency? These are all very important questions to ask. Talk to the teachers, talk to other parents, maybe talk to the learners. I think the learners are the big reflect of what we do, right? So it's important to talk to them. And finally, trust the process. The MYP is a 5-year program. The kids are going to develop naturally, but it takes time, right? It takes time. They're gaining confidence, they are adapting, they're becoming more and more independent and prepared to diploma.
And I think that if international mindedness is a value that is important for the family, as it is important for our school and for the IB, I believe that once you visit the school, checking out if the community is very diverse, if there are events that celebrate cultural diversity, these are opportunities that are going to instill this value in our students' mind and to help them see purpose in what we do, which is an important part of the IB mission. And while at it, it's also a very good idea to look at the school facility as well. This is an opportunity that you have to look into the infrastructure of the campus, what the classrooms look like, what the open spaces look like, if everything is purpose-built, if there are areas for students to explore their passions. So if they are sports aficionados, if they can practice different types of sports, if they are into drama or the arts, that they have space that is going to allow them to do the best that they can do and to explore other skills. And by the way, it's a very good opportunity for us to mention that very soon in Alphaville, we are going to inaugurate our sports field. The whole community is very excited for that event.
Wonderful. Elizabeth, Andressa, thank you so much for joining us here in our podcast studio for the benefit of our community to share your insights and experiences in the IB and with the MYP in particular. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next St. Nicholas podcast episode. Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Thanks.